Good morning, children. Let us continue with the lesson Animal Life Part 2. So, today we will learn remaining 2 points from this lesson. First, different methods of moving, and second, what is migration and how animals travel from one place to another. Let us understand first point, that is different methods of moving. Every animal needs to move in search of food, and the movement of animals from one place to another is called locomotion. When you see movement, the animals move mainly in search of food, correct? They also move to escape from their enemies. They also move to take shelter and to protect themselves from heat, rain, and cold. There are three methods of locomotion or movement, and those are animals that move on land, animals that can fly, and animals that can swim. So let us understand them one by one along with their examples. So the first one is animals that move on land. When you see that animals move on land, most animals like lions, tiger, elephants all walk on their four limbs. So they have two front limbs and two back limbs. So in this, the front limbs are called forelimbs. F-O-R-E, four limbs. And the limbs that are back are called hind limbs. H-I-N-D-L-I-M-B-S, hind limbs. Now let us look at how these four limbs helps the animals to move in different ways on land. So first one we have as good runners. So cheetah, horse, gazelle, zebras and foxes. They have very strong muscular legs that help them to run very fast. The next one is hoppers. So we have animals that hop like rabbits and hare. So they have four limbs. But do you know, children, their hind limbs are strong and longer than the forelimbs. So that's why they are able to hop around. The next one is walk on two legs. For example, we humans walk on two legs. Now you can see here where our hind limbs are modified into feet, which help us in walking, correct? Whereas forelimbs are modified for holding and grabbing different things as well as to do work. Now, if you notice, our fingers or thumbs are arranged such a way that we can hold things. So this is a special characteristic of only human beings or mammals, because no other animals can hold things with their hand, because their thumbs do not allow them to do so. If you see the next one, that is the animal that crawl. Crocodiles, lizards, tortoises, which have very short limbs, because they have very short limbs, they can't run, so they can crawl on land. Children, we have another types of animal that they do not have limbs at all. Do you know which are those animals? Such as snakes as well as worms. If you see snakes and worms, they don't have limbs, right, children? But still, they move around by crawling their body from side to side. If you see, in case of worms, they can move by contracting and expanding their body. The last one we have insects, which have 6 legs. So these legs help them to move around. So this is all about the animals that move on land. Now let us look at animals that can fly. Children, if you see animals that can fly, you need special organ, right, children? So the organs that help in flying are called as wings. So wings are nothing but the modified four limbs of that particular animal. So here forelimbs are converted into the wings and wings help in flying. Now what about their hind limbs? So children, birds uses their hind limbs to perch on trees, walk on land and even hop. So these are various ways in which birds use their forelimbs as well as their hind limbs. Now children, you must know apart from flying birds, we also have certain group of birds which cannot fly. So they are ostrich, emu and penguins. So these three birds are very large and heavy birds. Because of their body weight, they cannot fly and they have very poorly developed wings. So that is why these three birds cannot fly. If you notice, some insects can also fly. So they are housefly, mosquitoes, butterflies, moth and bees. So all of these are flying insects because their body is light in weight and that's why they can easily fly. Now let us look at animals that can swim. For example, fish swim by moving their body from side to side. So they have three types of fins that help in balancing and changing position as well as stopping in the water. So these fins acts like the oars. So children, do you know what is the oar? An oar is the stick that the bottom in uses to push the boat forward. But there are also certain insects that can swim, but there are also certain insects that can swim in water. If you take the water boatman uses their legs as oars to swim. So this is an insect that can swim in water. Apart from this, we have certain animals which use their legs to swim. For example, prawns and tadpoles. While certain amphibians like frog, they have webbed feet. So you can see here the webbed feet between their fingers. So they have a web, that is flap of skin. The next one is the turtles. So they use their flippers for swimming. Penguins have wings that act like flippers. So you can see carefully the structure of flippers in this picture. So this is all about the animals that swim. Now let us understand the next point of this topic, that is migration. Certain animals move very long distances in search of food and shelter. So the long journey that animals make every year to find warmth, food and give birth to their young ones is called migration. For example, can you identify this bird? This is the bird that travels long distance. So this bird travels distance of 17,000 kilometers. So this bird is called Arctic tern. So this bird can fly from Arctic to Antarctic when it is summer. Then we have most common examples of monarch butterfly. So children, these butterfly fly from Canada to Mexico during winter and back to Canada during summer. The next example is eel, E-E-L, eel. This is a freshwater eel that lives in the river. It swims about 7,000 kilometers toward the sea to lay their eggs in the sea. And then after laying eggs, it will die. And once those eggs hatch out, the young ones will swim back to fresh water or to the river from which their parents came. So you can see how interesting migration is. And the last example is Siberian cranes. Came to India during winters. So in India, you can see in Bharatpur and other bird sanctuaries. So with this, we have seen all about animals. Let's do a very quick recap what all we covered. First, we look at different body coverings. In that, we have learned shell, scales, feathers, hair, and fur. See this example and revise this once again. Then we looked different eating habits In this we have learnt herbivores, carnivores, omnivores, their characteristic as well as their examples. Then we looked at different methods of moving. In this we have learnt animals that move on land, or animals that can swim, or animals that can fly, as well as their examples. Learned different methods of breathing. In that we saw lungs, moist skin, spiracles, gills, along with their examples. You have to revise it, children. At last we have learned migration. What is migration and how birds or animals migrate from one place to another place in search of food, shelter, or escape from their enemies. So these are all about the animal life, part first and part second. Now children, you have to do study, you have to revise it, and thank you. Read this lesson twice and thrice.